Hello, Dream Builders, and welcome to another episode of the Dream Design Podcast with Amy Lee. I am so excited for my guest today. She's actually one of the members of my community. She's super awesome. Love getting to know her, and you guys are going to love her too. I will be right back with Amanda Wallace. You're listening to the Design Your Dreams podcast with Amy Lee, the show that challenges you to stop chasing your dreams and start designing them. Each week, I invite powerhouse creators who have built their dream businesses to come and share their words of wisdom and stories of courage. It is my hope that through the journeys of these incredible dream builders, you too will be inspired to design and build a life and business beyond your wildest dreams. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Dream Design Podcast with Amy Lee. I'm so excited to bring my guest. Amanda Wallace is here with us. Welcome, Amanda. So good to have you.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure that our audience would love to hear a little bit more about you. Tell us about what you do and where you came from.
All right, so I help women to heal from emotions that are holding them back, right? As women, we tend to take on so many different emotions. A lot of them have to do with overwhelm and hormones being out of whack. So I help women primarily with anger, anxiety, overwhelm, and adrenal fatigue, which is a huge thing because it affects every emotion that we can think of. And I help them create overall balance in their life. And where this all began from was, so I had a history of addiction. It threw my hormones entirely out of whack. And then I got clean a few years ago, and then shortly after, shortly after I got pregnant. And when my youngest daughter was born, my hormones were like just through the roof. And I started to feel really overwhelmed, right? And what they don't tell you with postpartum depression is they don't tell you that it's not just depression, right? Like you think of postpartum depression and you think that mom is just so sad and can't, get out of bed. That's not the case for everybody. For me, I got angry, like really, really angry, full on rage. I would scream at my other kids all the time. And I got to a point where I would find myself sitting on the floor, like screaming out to God, like I need help. Somebody help me. I can't live like this anymore. I am angry. I can't stand to look at myself in the mirror anymore. And no matter what I did or how I tried to control it, I couldn't stop it. And then my aunt got me this Darren Hardy book, Your Best Year Ever, along with, I love Darren Hardy now. But I started flipping through this Best Year Ever book, and I realized they started talking about balance. And something that I was always told I needed to find balance in my life, but I had no idea what people were talking about. And so I started working through this book, and I realized that I started to feel a little bit better. And it sent me on this whole crazy holistic journey into getting my whole being, my whole self healthy. And when I did this, I felt a million times better. And now that's what I help women do.
That's so powerful. Sorry, I realized that I had put myself on mute because I've been having this sneezing attack. So I'm like, watch, I'm going to sneeze the whole time. So, but that's really powerful. And to be able to help people with something that you've been through, like people don't realize how much somebody else is waiting to hear your story, right? Like there are so many things that people are struggling with that they think, oh, if they knew that I was struggling with this, they wouldn't, respect me anymore, or this would change their opinion. But what people don't realize is that the more that you share your struggle, the more we all realize that we're not alone. And, I never actually suffered specifically from postpartum, but I can tell you a story. When I had my son, someone convinced me to do the whole placenta thing where you can encapsulate your placenta. So I decided to do it, right? Because, everybody was doing it. It was the cool thing to do. And so I encapsulated my placenta and ate the pills. And you guys can be grossed out if you want. Not you, but anybody out there can. Lots of people do it. And what ended up happening from that experience was the most horrible sense of dread and stress, and I was just completely out of my mind. Like, what happened to me as a result of that and how I felt, just everything just felt really gray and very doomsday, and it was just very sad. And from what I understand, that's very similar to some of the symptoms of postpartum, right? Like, you just feel like, oh my gosh, the baby's going to die. I'm going to die. Everyone's going to die. The world is dying. Like, you just have this overwhelming sense of dread. And I think something that you said that was really powerful, Amanda, was you were like, I couldn't get out of it. And, I want to bring this up because as someone who works with the law of attraction, as someone who works with positivity and all that stuff, there is something to be said about very real chemical imbalances that happen as the result of very real experiences that you can't law of attraction your way out of, right? It's like if somebody is standing on your chest and you can't breathe, you don't just say, visualize breathing. Like, it doesn't work like that. So we have to be really careful in the thought leadership space that we don't accidentally spiritually bypass these things and tell people to just get over it. Well, if you thought differently, like, this is a completely different level of that. And so I don't want anyone to watch this and think, oh, the dream design coach, and she's talking about postpartum, I want it to be clear that there is a very real tactile problem that happens sometimes with these imbalances, and it's really important that we take them seriously. So I want to make sure that I stress that we're doing that here. So Amanda, when you started, following Darren Hardy and kind of taking those baby steps to get more into a rhythm and kind of pull yourself out of there, what were some of the key things that you felt like really kind of helped you grab that rope and kind of pull yourself out?
Well, the huge thing, before I could get like my mindset right, I had to get my physical being healthy. And like I had always, heard, I have an aunt who's a nutritionist, the aunt that got me the Darren Hardy stuff. She's a nutritionist and a fitness coach, and she was always telling me, about how I need to watch my diet and all this other stuff. And I always took it with a grain of salt. But actually what helped me get in that proper mind frame was healing my body. So first I figured out that there are essential vitamins and minerals that every human being needs to have. And if they don't have them, their hormones cannot function properly, their brains cannot function properly. And so I started doing research into those, and I started experimenting with different like natural supplements, and I found what worked for me to make me feel healthy. And then I added in little bits of like daily physical activity. I thought chasing, children around was enough. It is not. So I had to start little with, stretching, and then some like yoga poses, and that started to make me feel better. And once I got that energy and that motivation up, then I started working on my mindset. I started working on, the meditation and reading and listening to positive things. And it started becoming like a cycle of, okay, so first we get physically right, then we get, mentally right, and then we have to move on to, socially, like, who am I hanging out with? Are they bringing me up? Are they bringing me down? And it's so like I focus on healing physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually, and it all has to start with the physical. Without that, you can't get your mindset right to go through with everything else.
No, I completely agree with that. And by the way, guys, if you're watching out there and you resonate with this, give me a yes, give me a uh-huh, give me something, let's just acknowledge to the universe that this is a collective experience, right? This isn't just Amanda that goes through this. This isn't just Amy Lee. This is a us thing. And when we recognize that and when we normalize it, we give people permission to have the feelings and the experiences they're having and know that this is normal. It's normal to struggle. It's normal not to know, because again, we don't live in a society that teaches this stuff, right? We don't live in a society that, that respects health, right? We live in a society that's like, yeah, we're going to create the illusion that we want you to be healthy. But what we really want is for you to end up in the medical system so that you can consistently have to be treated, right? And so it's really important that we recognize that this is something that we all struggle with. This is not an Amanda thing. This is a people thing, right? And she's talking about kind of all of the different facets of a person and all of the different things that you need to tackle kind of in order to make this stuff work for you. And so what made you say, I struggled with this. This is something that I need to go on and create for others?
So it's so weird. I've always had this like calling since the beginning of time to help people. I worked in the nursing field for 12 years. And some days it was miserable, but I just kept getting called back because I need to help people. I worked with other people in addiction for a while because I need to help people. And after I started to feel better, I just had this pulling of my heart telling me, you know what, there are other women out there. There are other women out there that are feeling this way, some of which have no idea that it even has to do with postpartum, and many of which don't know how to get out of it. And I can't imagine continuing to live my life stuck the way that I was feeling. And so I have this pulling of my heart, this calling to help other women heal without having to use all these medications, because I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to bash medication, but I know for me personally, like it's just a band-aid.
Well, for everything that they fix, they create another problem.
Yes, exactly.
The symptoms of the medicine often cause other problems. And especially, and I want to tackle this for a minute because we're coming into a new level of awareness. We're coming into a new level of creation. And there are some people that say there are already people that are taking advantage of ultraviolet therapy. We've seen sound therapy. These things are there. And we are in a situation at this point where we have a very real faction of humans who don't necessarily want to be part of or believe in that kind of healing. And unfortunately for them, that old guard is falling away, right? Like we're seeing right now, there are thousands and thousands of healthcare workers who are saying, you know what? I'm not getting an experimental medicine. I'm willing to give up my job for that. And the United States looks at that and sees, oh my gosh, the healthcare industry is crumbling. Is the healthcare industry crumbling, or are we pushing and demanding a new paradigm of healthcare? Right? Is it more that we're saying, no, new things are coming and we're not going to perpetually keep people unwell and sick, and we're going to stand for actual health, right? And so we see, like, for example, a lot of hospitals are no longer doing, what do you call it? Deliveries, right? They're no longer delivering babies because they're short-staffed, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what does this do? It opens the door for more midwives. It opens the door to bring back midwifery and the whole experience for mother and child, not just a hospital where they're turning hospital rooms the way they turn tables in a restaurant, where you're having to have your C-section on the doctor's schedule. Now we're seeing a return, right, to holistic healthcare in every aspect. So is this a bad thing, or is this something that we're here to usher in, something that we're here to be the pioneers of? And I would love to hear you guys watching out there what your thoughts are on this, right? Are your thoughts that things are crumbling and we're losing hold of healthcare? Or are we building a brand new paradigm? Sheila says brand new paradigm. Are we building a brand new paradigm of health care and wellness that we've never seen the likes of before?
Yeah, this is absolutely, I absolutely think it's a new paradigm, and there are so many people. It's beautiful how many people are starting to turn to the holistic route, which is where we find true healing, not a mask, not we're gonna throw medication at you, not we're gonna do things this way. And like you said, the birthing of babies, I see so many women that are opting for home birth. Good for them. You're getting nature's experience. This is how it was meant to be done. And I believe that holistic healing is not only the future, but it's the way of the past, and it's the way it's supposed to be.
And it's funny, I don't know if you know this story, but way back when the field of obstetrics started, women and babies were dying at an alarming rate. And they figured out, and this is a true story, you guys can look this up. They figured out that these doctors, right, these really, very educated doctors were going from touching cadavers to touching mothers and babies and didn't think to wash their hands. Mm-hmm. So what was happening? They were contaminating the new life with the dead. And it wasn't until they started sanitizing that they saw the birth rates, the death rates go, the maternal death rates go down, right? But midwives had known to do that for thousands of years. That was just ingrained in them. That was part of the process. But then we demonize this, they don't know what they're doing. They're at home. How dare they? And we're realizing that, oh, wait a second, listening to a woman's natural patterns of contractions rather than pumping her full of Pitocin and just on a clock is such a different experience for mother and baby. And now we're seeing that it's even perpetuating further into life, like maybe there's a connection between having those kind of births and attention deficit. Maybe we're seeing a connection between that and autism. We don't even know, because we've intervened at the level that we've intervened. And I know we've taken this so totally off course, but me and you, we get in our rants, right? Absolutely. Erin says we are building a whole new healthcare paradigm, and it is exciting, Erin. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And so when we look at this from the creation perspective, that this is something that we're making, that this is something we're ushering in, you're taking these women and you're saying, hey, you don't have to pop, a bunch of pills unless, of course, they're supplements or whatever. Like, you don't have to be beholden to a system that's just going to consistently bring you to the point where you're completely dependent on it. Let's bring you back to where you have access to things like your pineal gland, right? And your sacral and all of that intuitive guidance that flows through you. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So that being said, if you guys have questions for Amanda, feel free to drop them in the comments. Amanda, how do people get a hold of you if they would like to work with you or learn more about you?
So if you just look me up on Facebook, you can easily find me. Follow me on Facebook. There are links to my group all over my page. So if you're a woman and you're looking for, a group to learn more about healing emotionally through a natural route, check out my group. It's a Mind Body Connection holistic healing group for women. Like I said, there are links all over my personal page. And you can always message me as well. My DMs are always open. I'm
love that.
Scrolling through here to see if there are any questions.
Oh yeah. So usually what ends up happening is they drop the questions and then you can go back and answer them. But yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there are going to be lots of folks who want to talk to you because this is the pioneer stuff, you guys. What we're doing right now. Oh, Sheila loves your group. What we're doing right now is we are setting the tone for the next generation. We're the ones who are saying, hold on a second, this isn't working for us anymore. You're not going to tell me what I get to put in my body. You're not going to tell me where I get to go based on what I put on my body. You don't own me. Okay. I am a sovereign being. And not only that, but people like you and me, we're even raising our children to never accept this level of, tyranny, right? Like, no, you're never going to tell me that I have to put something in my body to do what I need to do. Right. And if you don't want me in your space, that's fine. I don't want to be in your space. You know what I mean? I don't want to be anywhere where I don't get to be sovereign. And more people are coming forward and saying this. More people are standing in their power and saying this. And the more people like you and I help them stand in their power, the more people will come forward and stand in their power and say, enough is enough. I don't care how many, because where does it end? What happens when there's a new scary disease, right? Then what? Oh, you need to get this, where does it end? Where do we stop? It stops here. It stops with us.
Exactly. And this is the time. This is the time, to put a stop to everything and start taking a look at the whole picture, and yes, exactly. We are raising our children to, see things this way, that they don't need to be controlled. They don't need to be told that they have to take, any kind of medicine. You can't force anyone to put anything in their bodies. We're teaching our kids that there is a healthier way, a better way to live life, and we don't have to be afraid of everything going on out there.
Right. The fear matrix. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that, Amanda. Well, thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. You guys definitely look up Amanda. She's amazing. She's a powerhouse. This podcast episode will air very soon. If you guys didn't get to watch it live, she's amazing. Her energy is amazing. I'm sitting here in it right now, just kind of soaking it all up. So hopefully you guys will have the opportunity to do that soon. And if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. She can go back and answer them and give you the links to her group and all that yummy stuff. Any last words for us, Amanda, before we let you go?
No, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, Sheila says, this rocked. Thank you both.
Oh, Sheila, you're the best.
Absolutely, Sheila. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Dream Design Podcast, or as I should say, the Dream Design Rant this week, because me and Amanda certainly got into it. But I hope you guys will tune in next week when we have another awesome guest. Until then, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you be at peace. Namaste.